The town of Silverpine was charmingly quaint. Nestled amidst snow-capped hills, it possessed an old-world charm, but its idyllic facade hid a chilling secret. Every New Year's Eve, the town observed an unsettling tradition. As the clock struck 12, a hush would fall over Silverpine. It was a silence so profound, so absolute, that it felt tangible. The origins of this eerie custom were shrouded in whispers and shadows. Locals spoke of an ancient entity, a creature of darkness, that haunted the valley. On New Year's Eve, it was said, the entity roamed free. Its presence could be felt in the stillness of the night. The only way to appease it, to ensure safety, was to offer total silence. Generations had passed, inheriting this chilling tradition. The fear of the entity was woven into the fabric of their lives. It was a fear that kept their lips sealed, their homes dark, and their hearts pounding every New Year's Eve. The silence was more than just an act of observance. It was a desperate plea for survival. Ellie, a writer seeking solace and inspiration, found herself drawn to Silverpine. Its picturesque beauty and the promise of tranquility drew her in. She rented a cozy cottage on the outskirts of town, eager to immerse herself in its peaceful rhythm. Her neighbors, the Harts, were a welcoming elderly couple, their faces etched with the wisdom of time. They regaled her with tales of the town, its history, and its people. But their tone shifted when the conversation turned to New Year's Eve. Their eyes, usually twinkling with warmth, turned apprehensive. They spoke of the tradition with a reverence that bordered on fear. Ellie, however, dismissed it as mere superstition, a quaint quirk of a bygone era. She had always been a skeptic, dismissing the supernatural as figments of imagination. The town's tradition, to her, sounded like a ghost story told to keep children in check. She appreciated their concern, but assured them that she wouldn't be partaking in their ritual silence. It was, after all, just another night. As the year drew to a close, anticipation gripped Silverpine. The usual festive cheer was replaced by an unsettling tension. The streets, usually bustling with life, were deserted. Homes were dark, windows blacked out, as if the town itself was holding its breath. Ellie, however, remained oblivious to the palpable fear. She sat by her window, the soft glow of her laptop illuminating her face. The rhythmic tapping of her fingers on the keyboard filled the otherwise silent room. Outside, the clock on the town square chimed, each clang resonating like a death knell. Midnight approached and Silverpine braced itself. The final chime reverberated through the air, abruptly swallowed by an oppressive silence. It was an unsettling quiet, devoid of even the chirping of crickets. Ellie, caught in her writing, continued typing, oblivious to the sudden shift in the atmosphere. The silence outside pressed in, heavy and expectant. And then a single discordant note pierced the stillness. The sound of Ellie's typewriter. A chill wind swept through the town, rustling leaves that had been still moments before. In the distance, a figure emerged from the shadows of the woods. It was tall and gaunt, its form shrouded in darkness, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. It moved with an unnatural grace, gliding over the ground towards the source of the sound. A sharp rapping on the window startled Ellie. She looked up, her heart pounding in her chest. The window was dark, the reflection of her own frightened face staring back at her. But then, for a fleeting moment, she saw it. A grotesque silhouette against the faint moonlight, a pair of eyes burning with malevolence. She stumbled back, knocking over her chair in terror. Her phone buzzed, a frantic message from Mrs. Hart flashing on the screen. "Don't make a sound. It has been awakened." The messages kept coming, each one more desperate than the last, her phone vibrating against the wooden floor. Ellie watched in horror as the shadow outside her window began to contort, taking on a more defined, more sinister form. A low growl reverberated through the night, seemingly shaking the very foundation of her cottage. The shadow lunged towards the door, its clawed hand reaching out, the doorknob rattling violently. Ellie screamed, a desperate, blood-curdling sound that shattered the silence of the night. And then, just as abruptly as it began, the noises ceased. The phone fell silent. The shadow was gone. The only sound was the frantic beating of Ellie's heart. The following morning, the town of Silverpine woke to an eerie silence. Ellie's cottage stood empty, its door ajar, a single shoe lying on the porch. The newcomer, the woman who dared to break the silence, had vanished without a trace. The town held its breath, the memory of the broken silence and its consequences etched into their minds. The tradition of Silverpine, once a chilling tale, had become a terrifying reality. And so, year after year, the town would fall silent, their fear a tribute to the entity they had awakened. A chilling reminder that some traditions are best left unbroken.